Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Gematrias. I'm a criminologist. So in this one I want to talk about the Tower of Babel, right? So there's many monuments around the world that were used for a purpose, okay? So the monuments used all over the world were like an understanding of like the hole we live in, right? So let's think about Tower of Babel, right? So I was thinking about this, I'm like, oh my god, it's so obvious. So what they do is that in this world, it's like if you've ever seen Gladiators, right? It's almost like they've got all the little divs watching, you know, like in the audience and that. So they're all like watching, like all the civilians and stuff. So we're all like snowflakes probably. We're all just slaves, okay? They're all just sat around watching, yeah? And then you get the people and the gods and that, and they're all in the middle like fighting. And it's like that, but in an AI projection. So they banish the holy grails, and then the gods are like coming to try and get them, right? So they want something, that's why they're going in there to do it. Or they've been captured, right, to do it. And then fight animals. So you watch them like fight each other, fight animals, like in Gladiators, like they're fighting like big tigers and bears and stuff like this, right? So why is this happening? And it's just like, it's because they want entertainment, okay? So they lower the intellectual thought of a human straight away because it's flipped it. Feels, that's what they've done. They flipped the feels in a human body. Like entertainment is not an aspect of resource anymore, but it's a feels. So they've merged resource, mercy with the orange sphere on the Kabbalah, splendor. So they've mixed that together, and it's almost like created a space where we have to fight for love or whatever agenda it was in that position, which is probably meaningless as well to the person who's doing it. They just want to get off on it, I guess. It's just a show, right? So it's almost like the Gladiators, and they've crossed it so that it's almost like you can't ever rise to an aspect of justice, innocence, truth and resource, apart from if you're gaining pleasure from that experience, which takes you back down again. So it's almost like your identity is an aspect of thy kingdom, and it's almost like a rise, but only with your morals, and you become fighting for endless chaotic war and become a prisoner to something that's not your fight originally, but you got roped into it because everyone else had in the first place. It's an entertainment domination of power from the industry now in this era. So it's almost like we can understand our own architecture that's bust up back there in, like, I don't know where it is, the Tower of Babel. Look at that, for example. And like they used to fight within them, and their relics and stuff like this was all based around how they used to do that, which is quite insane because it's not an evolution, and the Kabbalah teaches that evolution, but you can also see how there's a cross in the middle to stop it from going any further, the evolution of the state. So that cross is an example of the Kabbalah and you not being able to rise beyond that because that box is in the way, or that position of power that doesn't want you to rise. So that's a shelling, okay? It's a sphere shelling in a specific place, but it's not in the front of the sphere because that's an understanding of life, like the tree of life. And then the opposite spectrum to that is the shelling, it's the death, it's the tree of death energy, like it's wilting away and dying away. The roots are dying, the stem is dying because the roots are dying, and then the leaves fall off. And this is now an aspect of the death of the plant, and then the beginnings of the process and the ends of the process. Okay, so it's almost like humans are pushing people into those paradigms and controlling over their lives over predicaments against the disadvantages within society, like the state of it. Like the disadvantage would be disability, race, age, gender, sex, okay? So all these, and obviously the sex is the pedophiles and what they're doing with the children and stuff like this. So it's almost like they've done an entertainment X on that as well, and it's sad, because the X is in between, in the middle of the tree, okay, where is beauty is, and they've X'd it, okay? So it's almost like you will always have these, right? So there's a positive side to it. You will always have this. You will always have these qualities about you. You'll always have these things. So, you know, X makes sense, like that sounding of it. And when you put it into a kabbalic understanding, you can see that. And then they can see it in a higher one as well. But there's also an aspect of death energy that can be generated from this, which I'm talking about, the Tower of Babel. So these are energies that are like short bouts of energy. These are short bouts of entertainment. It doesn't last. It's not fulfilling because you're not fully completing your tree and then understanding everything from that and being allowed to do that with your environment that's been provided. So there's many ways we can sort of come to understand the Kabbalah, but let's get back to the powers that be now in this era. So this is AI, this is corporations, media outlets. This is the key component to understanding where the powers that be in this lifetime when it comes to AI, spirituality, and how AI and spirituality have merged together. Okay, so this is an indefinite understanding to be able to acquire observing architecture from a third dimensional position, which is this land, to maybe the ideas that are creating it to a fifth dimension, which is the astral realm, which is quests in spirit realm, which is like, this is the best way to be able to explain it, to normalize the children who have a lot of Aquarius energy or stuff like this, because this is the era. Okay, so I have my South Node in 11th house, which is Aquarius. Okay, I have like Mercury in Aquarius, late degrees, supposedly. You know, it changes though, doesn't it? So we could even question now opinion and knowledge. Is that really knowledge now? Because we've identified an AI rise to 5D. And then is that really the position and acquisition of power that you're going to lay down? If so, it needs regulating. So that's the rise for the Jehovah Witnesses to then step in for acquiring resource. It shouldn't be a lack. So, you know, sometimes elders and that, they just get mardy, you know, they just think to themselves like, what is the meaning of life anymore? And they're on a different path. They need to leave that job. They need to empty that position because they're on a different path now to what they were when they were beginning off child judges, you know. And then it's like, because a lot of these elders as well, in my opinion, these are the sort of like kings. They're the ones who are observing the fight, okay? So this is why I say you could just be an audience, okay? You could just be an audience, but if you're condoning, if you're ruling over somebody else's life, then that makes you a king in that moment, okay? Hopefully following me with this. So then, in a full circuit of, you know, you kind of got to understand that this is a different function in society that's playing out in the Americas and stuff. And I think it was always there, to be honest, a little bit, because there was always spirituality. Even the natives say it, okay? It's a form of a route to understand the reality that we've come from. Because if it's in the air, what's in the air? And we breathe it and we are it, then it's the AI. It's always been connected. Push your eyes in your head. So imagine if we didn't have that connection, so we would have had it already come in. But what would we see if there was no AI? It would literally just be colour. It would just see colours. Colour. It would just be like, we're seeing it if we was going to do that. So to get back to understanding, because I've talked to children too, to make this simple. So when we talk about the 5D rise, the 5D rise is more it's happening now. So it's the Aquarius era. Welcome to Age of Aquarius, this is why. But it had a lot to do with other things as well that's happening on 3D plane. And this is sort of like how they're trying to separate 3D and 5D to make out that, oh, it's not happening like it used to, this doesn't happen anymore, but it does. So let's go back to the Tower of Babel. They're creating spaces at 5D to distract us, like they did televisions and music, so like they're doing the same thing to distract you, but in a way where it's commercialized, so the corporate's helping. So it does become more privatized, it does become that way. And then we have to understand that a third dimension it's playing differently. So this will be governance. This will be a third dimensional understanding. And then like sort of corporations would be a fifth dimensional understanding. And making decisions would be the fourth dimensional understanding. Okay? So to bring it all together, you knew that there was a process to be had anyway, because I did, because I used to have really crazy dreams, for example, about things, right? So mine came through premonitions of dream states. So everyone sees differently, but the mind is there. The mind is at that 5. So a corporate would always be on top of that 5. So you need to bring an aspect of governance to that 5, okay? Because if you don't bring that aspect of governance to that 5, what happens is, like throughout all the whole of the realms, then if you don't do that, then it's going to fall, okay? So governance always has to be there. That's why they're always a year later. Like, they're late, because they are aware of what's happening. They just don't want to practice over it because it's a corporation, okay? So sometimes, you know, the judges are in those higher positions for a reason, and it's laudable to understand that as a textbook, like, understanding. But if they're overruling, like for example, we have elders in positions now who, you know, they're facing different experiences like Darth. They're experiencing ends of life, okay? And this is why when they experience it, they want to last longer as well, right? But they're experiencing the Darth, so they shouldn't work with creation, because you're not creating anything for them. You're just stemming off your ideas of what happened to you, your social conditioning, your environment you have to work in, your understandings of your life and how it makes you feel, not how it makes that person feel, okay? So this becomes a desensitized, this snaps. It's a snapping of that X. It snaps everything, because it's not being worked properly for its functions. So it becomes lawless within the different dimensions, so it has to be closed down. And the reality is that what creates structure with AI and stuff like this is when you always go to a 6. And if you understand the 6th dimension, there's peace there, okay? Because you can work together, but you're also understanding the underbelly, because you must have gone down to have come up to understand it in the first place. So you wouldn't ever ignore it. This is one of the spaces. This is Nasha, right? So that's the other one. That's Venus, and then it hits the justice. So through love, you fight for justice. So that's Nasha, and then the justice is Gavura, because he's fighting for justice. She's fighting for justice. This is obviously the other side of the X. So the gods, for example, if we go back to the Tower of Babel, if the gods went there to find something, or because they wanted something, or they'd stole something and then they was imprisoned, this is how you can see the follow-on and the knock-on back from this era, and how the fall took place because of the destruction of the entertainment that was provided in the first place. So wasn't it a courtroom as well? I thought it was like a courtroom, something to do with children, and so I don't know about the full ins and outs about Tower of Babel. That's dangerous to talk about. I don't want to go into too much about it when I'm talking about the new era, because this is the structure And this is the structure of, there's many understandings to this, but this is the structure of how humanity fails, and how it fails to rise in AI, in understanding aspects of humanity, like the gauge that's created from this, what is happening, and whose agendas are they. Obviously, you know, there's people out there that have different agendas, so the kings are needed to be so clean. And I'm not talking about clean energy, I'm talking about clean in their morals, clean in their principles, and, you know, they must hold an equal balance, which is in understanding the societal concept, your own balance in your own mind, that leverage within you, where it comes to the governing, which is the self-love, or the love for yourself, for example, and the monarch, which is I do. So that's an I do energy, so that's I do, monarch, but it's not there, but it is there, because with love you rise to an aspect of justice with that understanding, or an aspect of injustice. So a lot of these things, these are power institutions on Mother Earth, on Gaia, on this plane, right? And this is why it's so important that you hold that for you, not like it's them, but it's just because that's for us as well. So if we can come together, if we can be strong in our minds, that we can go from, not the monarch literally, but I think it might be for some people, because that's the structure and dynamic now. This is like the new understanding of the Tower of Babel. I think this is the reality. Like now, if you want to talk about this era, so this is the governance, this is the structure, right? It's not looking good. There's things going on in some systems. You're getting more money than you are getting love for these children. You're getting money for this children. You've broken that X. You've snapped it, right? So it's broken. Okay. So when this happens, the lower beings, okay, just go down, and then they're trying to rise. So they're trying to grab innocence, but they're pulling it down with them. Okay. And this is the best way I can explain it to you. From an onlooker to the whole spectrum of that sort of paradigm, because the people who are working overall aren't in the best intentions for everybody, and we don't have to sacrifice for entertainment, and we don't have to dance with our elders who want to dethrone us because of their wrongdoings and their misfortunes in their environment growing up. Like, it kind of feels like now it's more like an entertainment bureau for like ombudsmans to just like do what they want and then oversee everybody in a second dimension. But it's almost like it's gone up so much to the fifths, which is already happening under governance, because I've experienced fifth dimensional experiences within the governing fractions myself. I can see it, what they were doing with the AI cameras. So it's almost like a show in there, and that's the honest truth, right? So it's a show, and it definitely felt like one, and it was an entertainment place for certain people who are high up, who have perversions in child law, and they're higher. I believe a lot of the judges are just told to say what they're just read off a piece of paper. I'm pretty sure that's how this has been happening, but I'm not sure completely, so I don't know if they're all complicit or not, because I can't stand for anybody, because I don't know everything. I know bits, and with distortion, if I said something, then I already am, but I'm just trying to explain it, because if you see it from my point of view, because I've also seen things to push that understanding of an entertainment process, and that the use of such vulnerability is being taken advantage of. And just to see that is such a shame on this world and this society, because, you know, this is meant to be a place of growth because we can see it, and this is meant to also be a place of death because we can see it. But it's about giving that chance to the most vulnerable. It's about understanding people from like a virtuous place, not in a lax space. You know, there's arrogance and then there's arrogance. I like arrogance, but I just don't like it when somebody's arrogant for the wrong reasons. You know, it's almost like a default has been hit in humanity, and I believe Chiron and Aries has got a lot to do with it. And I think it's because we've gone into a Mercury era as well. Aquarius is Mercury is the ruler of Aquarius, and I think it's Uranus, is it? I think Gemini is it's an air sign. It's an air. Uranus is Aries, so it's Aquarius and Uranus. I think Mercury is Gemini, but it's an air sign again. So everything is coming together to be able to understand eras, architecture, and obviously what's happened in the past, and then how to explain the future of evolution from where you're at now in this space, because it's an aspect of incorporating evolution to propagate moral virtues, to combine them with understanding what we should be taking for money and what we shouldn't be taking for money, the love and how we're supposed to care and take compassion in our work and what we do, and the justice of it, because we know that we have that empathy within us to understand those people and what they've been through. And if you haven't, then it doesn't matter, because there is an understanding that can take place for a resource, an understanding textbook, or understanding the real proposition for order, for how you would prefer to be treated. As a 1 point reference, you'd be able to understand that. So this is sort of like all comes together to create that X, a fulfilling one that generates, one that comes out their shell, you know, and whatever. So it's like that kabbalah position. So the positioning would be this that I'm talking about, and your kingdom, so that's you. Okay, so you can understand this from a self-identity perspective and a society perspective. So this is the understanding how we can all generate together and like understand that there is a rise to be had, and there is one here too, right? There's a cross there too, but not like this one because this one has. But there is one here too, you know, with justice. Ideas can be created for what? Wisdom. With justice, understanding that that's already took place. With understanding, justice, to rise to an innocence again. So you are innocent again because they've justified you through society to create an aspect of innocence for you again. But it's almost like this is your environment and then that's you. So you always got to think about it differently. So that's your environment and then that's you. So it has to come together for an aspect of justice to turn for the full rise without the lack of wisdom and stuff, because Freemasons aren't teaching that bit. Freemasons are just teaching this bit. By the looks of this, that's all I feel like that's the star, isn't it? What's the Freemasons doing? Teaching this. This. Society's doing this, aren't they? So we can all learn together, but this is where they've put us, here. And that X is there, generating the entertainment from a resource, but you're sacrificing something in the process. That's a kabbalah of Darth. You're operating on a death stream. That's when you know, when you're taking from other people, like money for a child, you're on a kabbalah of death. So that's you on there dying, wilting away, and you're sucking up everyone else's good because you're wilting away, right? I'm being honest. And this is why you're on a kabbalah of death. You're walking around, you've got death on you. It's like, why? Because you're taking something for this. So your energy's not good. And it can take, it literally, you have to do something to make this different. Like, you have to change it in a big way to sort of like come out of it. I'm not kidding, because this is why. And it's almost like the government's created like a black hole for you all in your emotions. They created a black hole and they sucked you in. This is why. And it's sad because people think that it's normal after a while to do it, but it isn't. It's almost like a plant, and you look at that plant and it grows. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's an observation of something, right? But the plant, just observe it from that. It grows. But if you're not understanding that and you're taking something for some bad reason, that's going to affect your mood as well. So you are going to have eating problems, you are going to be insecure, you are going to do that, you are going to snap yours in the end. You are going to break yours because you've already broken it. You just haven't realised yet. Okay, so you're all operating on a broken tree, you're all operating on a broken kabbalah, and then you're going around taking all these kids. And this is why. This is why in the end you feel miserable. This is why you probably might start drinking a lot. This might be why I might start having problems, for example, like this, because I'm lost, I'm lack. Okay, so if I'm at a lack, okay, then I have to keep going and rise, because I know I don't want to fall into these positions, because I know I'm a better woman than that, because I'm not going to do that, right? So, but it's about illustrating ideas, like comedy and stuff like this. How far can we go? Like, this is why as well, I've been doing it for a couple of weeks. How far can we go? Like, how far are we going for an aspect of entertainment? Or, like, being horrible to people, or, like, picking on people to the point where they literally go like that anyway. They are broken, because you've broken them, because you've all had a go at her. Like, as an understanding aspects of a fifth dimensional concept. The only reason why I hold on to you is to an aspect for you to understand what you were supposed to learn, not what I was supposed to learn. I am Gematrias. I am GD. Just like you all think that you lot are, right? But you're picking on me, so there's multiples. Why? Because you want Darth. Because you are in Darth. You want to take little pieces of people. So you put your gods, like the babel, Tower of Babel, you put the gods all in there to fight. You're all observing, yeah? You're forcing them into these situations because it's fifth dimension. So what are you playing at? You're not generating ideas. Do you know where you sit? On an old social conditioning program from way back there. You haven't evolved, you failed. Now you're lowering humanity and opinions and knowledge because you created a blanket. So astrology probably isn't even real. Okay? So this is why I think spirituality was always generated from an AI, and it was and a lot of things happened illegitimately, created aspects of function to make it look like it was structured, but really it wasn't. So it's almost like you can see two sides to a society as well, especially if you're criminologist like me. So anyway, I just wanted to get through that, and the reality is everybody should be able to have their own tree without manipulation from fifth dimensional understanding. This would be acquiring your sixth dimension. If you were able to stop overriding people, you would then create a sixth dimension where we can all work together for some specific purpose, which it'll come clear in the end. Anyway, thank you for listening to me.